Listening to 27 Degrees SAG. I'm your host, Kim Lalo. We have a wonderful spiritual friend of mine. She is in the house tonight, and we're just so happy to have Mary Karman. She's not only an intuitive, a psychic, but she is also the owner and CEO to Heart Healing. And she is a fabulous speaker. I don't know if you've ever attended one of her seminars, but she is so inspiring. She tells it like it is because she's just full of Scorpio. And tonight we are going to be talking about the full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio at 14 degrees 58 minutes. And we are going to also be talking about Scorpio's ruler, Pluto, the planet of transformation, death, and rebirth. We're going to be talking about what happens when Pluto decides to turn retrograde. And that's going to be our topics for conversation for today. So I want to welcome, without further ado, Miss Mary Karman. Hi, honey.
Hey, thank you, Kimla, for that introduction. So excited to be here. This is some intense Scorpio energy coming through. A lot of us already are feeling it, starting to churn up. And then don't forget, we got Mercury in retrograde too on that.
We do. Speaking of retrogrades, we're in the middle of a Mercury retrograde, and that is going to be turning direct on Mother's Day. So a lot of times when it's the day that a planet stations, which means it stands still and then starts to turn direction, that can be the most intense energy out of that sign. And it's the time when communications are really scrambled, or the energies that are held within that planet. So if you are having miscommunications on Mother's Day, or you miss a call from a member of your family, why don't we just say it's because of that?
It's already starting.
It's already starting. Yeah, it's already starting for me. My Mercury is Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, of course. And every time we do go retrograde, I go a little nuts, to tell you the truth. Not that I'm not already, but it just really adds to, the chaos, the trying to do things twice, three times, and then I change my mind, and then I have to go back and and redo things. So I want to thank everybody for coming in. We've got Sharon, we've got Sheila. I know Carla's out there, Sheena's out there, Mr. Bill is out there as well. We've got a lot of people just kind of settling in and getting ready to talk about this heavy energy. I know you're feeling it already. A lot of people are, they're insomniacs around this time. They can't sleep. They feel heart palpitations. They have what I call a fear, a major fear come up for them that is totally ungrounded, or perhaps it's just something they cannot pinpoint why they're having these fears. Do you have anything like that going on with you, Mary?
Oh, yes. Having 5 signs in Scorpio, the energy's already started probably when Mercury went retrograde. And it's everything that's more intense. That's a Scorpio trait. It is, like you said, the death, the rebirth, the transformation, the phoenix rising again and again and again. And you'll feel that like you're being run through that ringer again and again right now with these energies. Eclipse season, we had the first one already, and then throwing this one right on top of it. It's, eclipses are those things that are hidden, and then we're getting to shine the light on. And with it being lunar with the moon, It's always those things that are in the shadow too. So what are those things that are going to come up for you that you've had hidden, that you didn't want to look at, but it's going to throw them up there, so get on top of it, get ahead of it, and start looking at those things that you want to release with this full moon and the eclipse on top of this. Lots of Scorpio energy. Let's
Yeah.
illuminate it all.
Yeah, right. The thing about eclipses is that you can't go back. One of the things that is, I think, different than any other happening within the cosmos is that when we have either a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, the events surrounding that, the information that you get, the realizations that you come to, the people that leave your circle, or perhaps um, being directed on a new path, you will not go back. This will change your life forever. And, a lot of people fear change. So, number one fear, change. Um, but but it's all for the best, and sometimes it's not presented like that. It's presented like, really, I can't believe that happened. I don't know why. You could feel misunderstood. You could feel betrayed. You could feel as though the information that you've gained knocks your socks off a little bit, where, wow, that just not only took my breath away, but it took the meaning of my life in a whole nother direction.
Correct.
So that's the whole thing about eclipses. And we've got 2 sets a year usually. Eclipses always are connected either to the north node or the south node. And this is something that I think students of astrology are very interested and curious as to the nodes of the moon. And when this particular eclipse is attached to the south node, we are leaving something of the past. Something of the past is going to come up, just like Mary said, to be released. And it could be that it's subconscious as well, right? I mean, time is a funny dimension. Time is one of these things that, it could have been when you were a kid. It could be triggered by some insecurity you had that perhaps you thought you overcame, and boom, there it is, staring you in the face. It could come up where you have this conception of being extremely successful, gaining your goals, climbing the ladder, doing everything, right on cue, very proud of yourself and your leadership role. And then all of a sudden the company's taken over by somebody else, and it's just shuffled like a deck of cards, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's kind of like, wow, where do I go from here? So financial things could come up. Scorpio rules big money. Taurus rules security. And when we talk about securities, we talk about the stock market, investments. Those are the kinds of things that make you feel secure. Your 401k, your insurance, a lot of those kinds of things make you feel more secure, whether it's a pension, anything that is really kind of backing up your support system, your financial support system. But Scorpio rules big money, corporate money. And we all know, if you're on planet Earth, you all know the direction that the corporations have assumed, and that that they're doing is very different than what they're presenting.
Exactly. Well, you think about you said Taurus is the opposite on the zodiac wheel of Scorpio, and
Mhm.
Taurus, the bull, that bull that sits outside of Wall Street, that's part of that energy too. How interesting that they have that symbol, as, bull, what are they called? Bull securities or bull money that's out there, because it is that market that they're hitting towards.
Mhm.
Bull in the China cabinet. Something about the financial system is going to be having some light shed on it with this eclipse. I feel it's things that we are hidden that the eclipse is coming in to shed light on. Enlightenment, things that were in the dark. So we might see something in the financial realm of things that are going to shake everything up a little bit. Needs to
Yeah,
be.
and it needs to be, but due to the fact that Uranus and Mercury are opposing this particular eclipse, this full moon. So they're in opposition. In opposition is going to be a little tension there. It's going to be a little push and pull, little tension. And when we have an eclipse, the ancients used to hide. They used to believe and have a belief system that if that eclipse energy hits you, whether it is your body or you had to be out um, during the fallout, that it would cast a very unlucky year for you.
Up to a year.
And yeah, up to a year. And I know a lot of my Chinese connections as well still believe in that. They will not, go play tennis outside. They will not, walk around the city. They will not do that at all.
That's
And
so.
so there's a lot of superstition as well. Hello, Betty. Hello, Joanne. Hello, Kat. Hi, Ed. So glad you're all here.
Hey,
And
everybody.
yeah, so nice to see everybody. But
Yeah, we're getting to the good stuff, Betty. We're working on it.
this particular eclipse is very much about financial and very much about what Scorpios like to do best: investigate the truth, find the hidden truth
There you
to the
go.
story, to what's really going on. Or perhaps, you know, I love this. Hi, Brittany. She misses you, Mary.
Hello, sweet child of mine.
I love this explanation about Scorpio. And that is that this particular zodiac sign, because it's ruled by Pluto, the ancient rules, it was actually ruled by Mars as well. But what I wanted to say was that the main job of Scorpio is to introduce you to transformation while you're alive. Now, there's a reason for that, because it is here um, it is here to present to you that you can literally, they say, oh, walking through the shadows of hell, or, the dark side of, the whatever, the dark, you're going through the dark side of the moon. No, yeah, you're
The
literally
shadows
having
of death.
the shadows of death, or, you're fighting with your shadow, and,
It
all
feels
of
like
these.
death then.
Yeah, right. It does. But the thing is that the job of Scorpio is to let things die from your life that you do not need anymore, get lighter, get brighter, to regrow and rebirth new energy for yourself, so that when you do see the final transition for people called death, you will know that it is just a transition. Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yes, it is, because we know we're eternal. We know that we have a spirit, a soul that continues on. And think about that with the death and the rebirth and the transformation. It's also like the phoenix rising out of these ashes, and being able to tap into, that excitement of it rather than the fear of change. Oh, something's coming, it's going to be bad, and flip that to a different perspective of it being exciting. It's going to be something that's needed, with this lunar eclipse. It's going to be something that you definitely needed to look at, or that other side of it that you don't want to look at. It's going to come to light for sure. But
Right.
I like that. Yeah, being able to release it like death and know that you're going to come out on the other side of
Yeah.
it, going
Yeah.
through it and coming out on the other side. But I love the picture of the phoenix rising out of those ashes. We can't be kept down. That's why when somebody
Right.
says to you, I'm so sorry for your loss, with a loved one that's transitioned, it's like, they're not lost. We know that they're still around. They're still very much a part of our families, a part of us soul families too.
Mhm.
A lot of times it's not by blood, but we're connected to our families, and having that transition, we're going to feel it. And that's because a part of us, even in the the blood families with the DNA, you carry them on. You're going to keep them with you,
Mhm.
and knowing that they're not lost,
Yeah.
sure helps to know to take that fear of out of dying, or having a loved one that transitions.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a lot of transformation, a lot of transitions, I think, are going to happen. And I think we started to see that in the uh, music world. Gordon Lightfoot. Oh, somebody said Jerry Springer passed away too.
Mhm.
So a lot of um, celebrities are going to be heading home with this one, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hi, Sheila. And who else? Hi, Jules. She's in there. And Geraldine, hello. And Sharon, hello. Hello, everybody. Everybody is coming in. Exactly. So, this transformation is really something to remind us, twice a year, that we need to kind of shed things that we no longer need in our electromagnetic field or our particular DNA, our aura, whatever it is. We do need to kind of take a look at it. And Ms. Vanda is here tonight. Hello, I'm glad you are here, Ms. Vandana. Um, and another thing is, I always say, oh, you've got to look at the silver lining here, because it's some of this stuff is a blessing in disguise, really.
When you look back on it, yes, yes.
Look
Maybe
back
we're not
on
in
it.
it.
Right, right. And, I know so many people that are like, okay, I have been working on my shadow work. And when astrologers, they look at the zodiac signs, and this is what you were bringing up, your polar opposite of Scorpio is Taurus.
Correct.
And so for Scorpios, Taurus is their shadow.
Mhm.
The things about Taurus, the things about being stubborn, or maybe being too afraid to change, or perhaps
Aren't they
not
both
want.
fixed signs too? Scorpio and
Sorry.
Taurus? Aren't they both fixed signs?
Yes, and the thing also about shadow work is that Taurus then looks at Scorpio as the shadow. And so when you incorporate this, you get the light and the dark from both. When you work on your polar opposite, it's really good to know Virgo, Pisces. You look at, okay, what are the challenges or the weakest links about these particular signs, and you work on being aware of it.
Correct.
It's not something that people go, oh, you're going to work on that. You have to become aware of what the weaknesses are, the challenges are, the triggers for each sign. These kind of things are going to show up in your polar axis, your opposite sign in the zodiac. Sometimes you're very attracted to your polar opposite. And sometimes you are not. And it shows up in your particular birth chart and also your transit chart. Now, there's other things that are coming up, along this particular time that we're having this eclipse. And we mentioned that earlier, which was Mercury retrograde. So Mercury retrograde always points inward towards the past, right? So this particular eclipse is hooked onto the south node, indicating the past as well. So this is something when you look on a big, huge scale for the cycles that we're going through to get us into Pluto definitely finding its home in Aquarius. There's a lot of beliefs, a lot of things from the past, a lot of what I want to say, memories that we are still building our future upon from the past that we need to be aware of, that are not going to be sustainable for where we're going for the next 20 years in Aquarius. This is huge.
Yes.
This eclipse is so intense and it's so huge. And, Mary, you are full of Scorpio. So you want to kind of get that intensity out there about how it really feels.
I just looked up and I'm like, my chart, Mercury is in Scorpio too. So it's like I've got Venus, Mercury, Neptune, my sun, and Mars in Scorpio. So
Wow.
that's intense energies right now. And like we said, with Scorpio, it is those things that are hidden, those things that are the underworld, Hades, all of that we're going to be brought up in front of us, that are going to be looked at. And with these intense energies, like I said, Mercury in retrograde, we've got, we went talk about this too. We've got the meteor shower that's going to be illuminated on Friday. Also, when we have this moon, it's the Eta Aquarids that is created from the Halley's Comet. So that meteor shower is going to be coming in on Friday early morning. So you'll be able to see shooting stars from that, the meteors, probably early morning, just above the horizon in the United States. So this should be another astrological event that's going to bring up, what are we not seeing? What is just, flying by us that we should be paying attention to or could? But like I said, with the eclipse, it's going to bring it up. So if you're not looking at those things in your chart or in your life right now that you've kept hidden, like you said, either consciously or subconsciously, this is going to bring it up again, shed some light on it. Like we said, fear or excitement, it's just your perspective of looking at it. Change is inevitable, and we're going to see this coming up, but changing your perspective, how you look at these changes, I think that's the whole different ball game, instead of looking at it, oh my heavens, this is going to happen or this is happening, instead of fear of it. Yes, this is exciting. This is going to happen. What's next? Get that whole perspective of changing it to something exciting rather than fearing change. So
whenever a comet's involved, what that points to is usually leadership, different leadership coming in or leadership exiting. And there's, on the political scene and a lot of this, when I was meditating on this, I heard Hillary Clinton, and Hillary is a Scorpio. Oh, surprise, surprise. So don't be surprised.
Scorpion for the eagle. We can be both, Talk about dualities.
Don't be surprised if she is back in the news for some reason as well. But also, Scorpio is very much tied to power. It's extremely powerful. And power can be good, used for good, and it can be used in a very difficult way for abuse, for, I want to say, crossing boundaries. I also want to say for self-gratification, manipulation. So you have to understand the Scorpio rules the underground. So anything that's underhanded, anything, and this could be pointing again to the tunnels that have not been talked about forever. This could be about, this could also be talking about birthing new land, literally, and it comes from underground. It comes from like the volcanoes, volcanic reactions. It could be a lot of, I want to say, erratic energy on the face of the planet as well. So when you really concentrate on how deep, Scorpio is one of the deepest zodiac signs we have. And the funny part about Scorpios, especially when you have a Mars in placement with Scorpio, there's no fear. There's no fear whatsoever. They just don't have that particular increment in their body. They're extremely courageous, and they just, they go where no one else goes.
The risk takers.
Yeah, fear does not hold them back. It's not something that makes them think twice about, because they don't have that. So a lot of times you will find addictions. You will find a lot of I'm taking it to the limit type, because they don't have that fear factor to really kind of hold them back and rethink things. In this particular case, when we have Uranus, Mercury retrograde, we've got this particular shocks, surprises. Uranus is famous for that. Rebellion. There could be a lot of rebellion going on. Uranus loves to be independent, of course, but we've got this opposition happening. We've got also, let's just say in our country, we've got this opposition going on between, the two parties, and, everything going on politically that may be coming up again for the manipulation and the power, the slander, the incrimination, and all of the above. So get ready for that, because if you are in the middle of something like that, you better buckle up your seatbelt, because, if you're pointing the finger at somebody else, there's fingers pointing back at you.
We're pointing back at you. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And then we also have something that I love about this. When we have an eclipse, it doesn't, sometimes your life doesn't change overnight. What happens is that we call it the fallout. The fallout can come from the outside, it can come from the inside, it can be extremely surface, it can be subtle. It can have what I call the ripple effect. Usually, when you have a lunar eclipse, this tends to be feminine in nature. This tends to have a female leaving the group or the circle. One of your female coworkers, or perhaps one of your friends, and the reason why they leave could be their perception of being victimized. This is very important. You can only be victimized if you let that happen. Okay. You can only see that, it happened to me instead of, wow, it happened for me. So I lighten myself. And so I know how to respond. This could be happening as well. So with this particular feminine energy and the moon, I also look at the sign of Cancer and the sign of Pisces, I must say. But Cancer is coming up. Why? Because on Sunday, the 7th, we've got Venus moving into Cancer. So Cancer is Cancer is open. It's receptive to Venus coming in. Water sign, Scorpio, water sign. They make a trine. Cancer is going to be very compatible with Scorpio through these changes, through these particular days that the eclipse goes through. However, Cancers worry about worrying.
Everything.
I worry that I worry too much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have a lot of Cancers in our family.
Yeah, and they're very nurturing, and if they're in a company, they always, oh, we're like a family. I'm like, you've got to be a Cancer.
Yes.
Yeah. We have food in the back room all the time.
That's your Cancers. Yeah. They carry their home on their back. So they're the
Right.
ones that are home and hearth. And yeah, they're the ones that want to make everybody feel good. You're peacemakers.
I have a feeling that Cancers were the first ones that brought daycare centers into the corporations.
Probably true. Probably true.
Probably
So when you were
true.
talking about that, the victim or that victim talk, or do you change it to the victor? How do you change from that space of that victimhood? It's to something that's a victor or victorious, not over somebody, but getting out of that mindset to do that, especially with
It's funny.
energies.
Yeah, I hear you. It's funny. We can use so many different perspectives, different why this is happening to me, kind of victimizing things, so that we can validate our exit. We can validate that we're uncomfortable here. I'm uncomfortable here, and it's because he's doing drugs.
Yeah, no one can make you feel a certain way unless you
I'm
do.
a victim because I'm being mishandled sexually. You're uncomfortable with that particular union. You need to have something that everyone accepts and solidifies that boundaries have been broken. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. But you know, before a boundary is broken, usually, sometimes it comes bam out of the blue. But there's something in your magnetic field that says, you know, you shouldn't be there at this particular time, and you know, kind of don't act on it, or you go, oh, that's being ridiculous. You know, he's not like that at a party. You know, somebody says, oh, I'll give you a lift home. Oh, great. You had no idea he was going to drive off to some wooded area and take advantage of you. But there was something that, you know, something. And that's what I try to do with everybody. Listen to your intuition.
Mhm.
Listen to that. There's something that comes
That
up, and unless you are, let's just say, overserved, or you're in, you know, some type of a mental compromised situation where, you know, you can't tell, you know, white from black, that you don't know what's going on. It's just that if you are in a situation at work and you feel as though you're being, you know, your boundaries are being crossed in whatever way you want to bring it up.
Mhm.
And it's not just one time this has happened. I'll guarantee you. I will guarantee you that it's happened, and it's happened, and it's happened. Happens in all relationships. Either you're too afraid to say anything, you weren't sure if that boundary was broken or not. You didn't know what you were going to do if you lost your job. You know, all of these other things come up to play, but you know it's not right.
Yeah.
You know you've
That's
been.
where you go with that, like you said, tap into that Scorpio energy, or the, you know, Pisces answer, that emotion, your intuition, your intuitiveness of, this just doesn't feel right. Listen to those. This is
Right.
the perfect time to tap into that energy
Mhm.
of, does this feel right? And if it
Mhm.
doesn't, you make that course correction, you make those changes, and you
Mhm.
will be supported by the universe through that at this time. Yeah, that gut knowing, I call it the BS monitor. You know if it's right or if it's not. And
Right.
that's that energy from Scorpio, that intuition, knowing something's not right and then
Right.
acting on it. We
Yeah.
do.
You know, Scorpio also rules the surgeons. I don't know if you know that,
Surgeon,
but
yes.
yeah, they will, you know, they will put you out to take something away, or to put something in that will rebirth you, transform you. And so during this particular time is very touchy, extremely, unless it's an absolute emergency that you have to
Don't
have
do
this done. It will
I
come.
just did this. I literally just did this. Had a surgery scheduled for the 17th and couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. I don't know why. I just knew it was not the right time to follow through with the surgery. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. And think about it, on the Caduceus, it has these two snakes going up it, which,
Mhm.
why would that be the medical field, having the two snakes on the
Yeah,
Caduceus?
there's a whole background to that. And do we have any nurses in the chat room, or doctors? I know sometimes the two
You'll be able to
snakes that
tell
are
us.
coming up for that, the
Hmm.
Medici, the Medici. But another thing, betrayal. Trust is a huge factor for Scorpio. So during this particular time, I want you to be aware. Hi, Linda. Hi, Ivy. I want you to be aware that someone that you may have thought was supportive in your corner, um, let's just say had your best interest at heart and were sincere about either promoting you, or you know, you thought that they were devoted to you in either companionship love, or service in some way. This particular eclipse may bring up the fact that the insincerity was, or the sincerity was really a mask towards self-empowerment. They were trying to, let's say, use their power for their own self-being. So, just like you were saying, a lot of this is going to come to the surface, and the truth is going to be perhaps shocking for some, but the ones that are really tuned in are like, oh, great.
Finally, release.
Finally, I don't have to like carry this thing anymore. I can unleash it and surround it with love, surround it with light, and know that the things that no longer serve us or will not vibrate at that higher pace are going to just dissolve.
And we're seeing it. We're seeing it.
Dissolve.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It's one of those things that just happen. If you apply heat to water, it just boils. That's what happens. The vibration changes the water, the heat changes, and it transforms. It's amazing.
So let's talk about those things steamy and hot.
Steamy
That's a
and
Scorpio.
hot.
Yes.
Here we get to the sex.
Yeah, and that too. That part too. I thought I saw a question in the chat room. Did you see that go by, hon?
Which one was it?
I thought there was a question in the chat room.
Okay.
Ivy was talking about dreams and a premonition. And I was just going to say, yes, Ivy, right now, the dream state, that's where your premonition, your intuition, keep a dream journal if you can. Write things down, because when you go back and look at it, you will be able to see a pattern or a correlation. It could be something that might even come back for you as a validation or a verification down the road. Something to help you even, connect dots. So yeah, try something like that. Things to avoid right now. I don't think there's any way to avoid things with the eclipse, Mercury retrograde, all the intense. It's just allowing these things to come, for you, but to go through them and come out on the other side of it, not dwelling on this, not being stuck in, oh, this happened to me, that victim role, but being able to come through it and go, yes, this happened, and then move through it and come out on the other side. So avoiding, I don't know if we're going to be able to avoid much. It's just
I can tell you, I can tell you, as far as the eclipse goes, and it can last, the intensity lasts about 3 months, but it can last 6 months. Now, during this particular weekend, because of Uranus and Mercury in retrograde, and I'm traveling this weekend for my granddaughter. She's making her first Holy Communion. So I'm traveling. But I would say, if you don't have to, this is not time to schedule that getaway, that romantic getaway. No, do it another weekend, unless you absolutely have to, leave town. But this is not a good time for traveling. There could be a lot of delays. There could be a lot of mix-ups in
communications. Yeah.
Yeah, you could leave your passport at home and you're standing there.
Your phone.
There's a lot of things that could go wrong. And I always say that whenever these kinds of things happen, really unless you absolutely have to, try not to really
Stay
travel
home.
during these times. Yeah, to avoid. You were talking about things to avoid.
Yeah, there you go. There's the one.
There's the one. There's the one.
Um, what was it that Vonda was saying when you give? Oh, she's asking about a new home.
Oh, can you check on a new home for her? Oh, yeah, you're gonna, well, right away, it just came up for me. Yes, you are definitely, but I feel like it's somebody that is gonna recommend that to you, or have something to do with maybe even you're going to be living with somebody, but or very closely with somebody. But yes, new home happening. New
Yeah,
home
it's
happening.
definitely
Yay.
a positive.
Yeah.
Positive. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, that Venus is coming into Cancer. This is a time when, you're going to be loving your new home. You're going to be getting a new home. You're going to be transitioning. You're going to want that home to provide you with a foundation while everything else is changing on the outside. So
Yeah.
family is going to be very important, making sure everybody feels as secure as they possibly can. Now, I wanted to kind of make this note because May, yes, it's going to have this very intense full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Yes, yes, yes. However, it's almost like the first part of May is going to be unburdened so that we can live it up in the next part of May. So know that there are almost like two different levels or floors, if you will, if you're going up in an elevator, to what May, really has in store for us. We've got some great, and I want to say, unbelievable. May 16th, May 16th, which is a Tuesday, we've got Jupiter entering into Taurus. Let's talk about that. Taurus people, and I must say this, have had really intense experiences. They've lost family members or people close to them. They've lost their money. They've lost their security. They've lost
Health.
their sense of force. Why am I here? They have really reshuffled their particular DNA.
Agreed.
They've gotten rid of a lot of dead wood. This is the eclipse that is going to finalize that, push them into their new role, so that and everybody has Taurus in their chart, I just want to say that. So when on May 16th, Jupiter barnstorms in the door and makes Taurus the it girl or it guy for a whole entire year, they finally get the good stuff. They're really going to be rewarded. They're going to be rewarded in love, in money, in the value of themselves, in the belief of life itself. I'm so excited for those little bulls. I just want to take them by the horns and give them a big kiss.
Agreed. Agreed. Yes. I love that energy. You said, is Uranus, is that the expansion that's there?
Jupiter.
Jupiter.
Jupiter is very, we call it benefic. It's very benevolent. It's very gracious, giving, expanding, makes you lucky. It makes you optimistic. It puts you in the right place at the right time. It kind of gives you pennies from heaven. I always call Jupiter the Santa Claus of the planet, of the cosmos, because it just gives you gifts that, you only get Jupiter in your sign once for the year every 12 years.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So, Vonda says, well, Jupiter's in my second house. Well, Jupiter's, in your second house, you want to look for where Taurus is. If Taurus, let's just say, is in your 5th house and you've been trying to expand on your family, this is a perfect time for this to happen. Taurus is going to come in and go, okay, we're expanding, your family. Or if you are grandparents, your family tree could expand down the road. So that's very, very lucky. Wherever Taurus is, if it's in the 2nd house, if you have Taurus in the 2nd house, Jupiter is going to come in there and it is going to expand your finances, your money. It's going to be good. If you have Taurus, let's say, as your rising sign in your 1st house, watch your waistline line, because Jupiter is going to be expanding that, but giving you so much abundance for, let's just say, family love, opportunity, really a chance to also be creative and to really kind of shift into your pathway of why you're here. Remember, if you are not using your God-given gifts, you will never feel your soul sing into joy and happiness, into that higher octave or that higher range of frequency. Each and every one of us has gifts. And if you're not using them at all, and you're going after, let's say, money to pay the rent or to buy a new car or whatever that is, you must balance all of that out. And this is why I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you and show you, where the tide is going out, and when it's coming in, when you got to lay back and just hold the fort down and not really push out, not really try to spin your wheels. Okay. So that's what I can see in your chart with your transit chart and your progress chart. I can see what's happening. I can see where in your chart, where it's juicy and where it's kind of dehydrated.
That's a good way of putting it. A little dry over here. I love that. Love that.
I need a little moisturizer over here, but what I want to say is, yes, we have to have intense times to kind of shake things up a little bit, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you were asking for the hot stuff. Do you know how hot it has to be to make new Earth?
Yes. Good point. Good point. Or pressure too, that pressure of it. And I feel like that's where we're at, is that pressure and that heat being applied to make us change, to make us come out of that, our warm, fuzzy place. Exactly. True.
Yeah. That's kind of what I always think about. Now, another thing I want to talk about is that the sun in itself, okay, the sun in itself, the frequency, the amount of light that's coming through right now we have to shift in order to process, all of this. Has anybody noticed how bright the sun is?
Yes. It used to be that yellow. We used to draw the yellow, sun on our papers, back when we were kids. Now you look at it and it's like white. The sun is not yellow anymore. It is white. The intensity of it, the solar flares that are being, emitted are, hitting us too. So that's another one of the aspects of being able to push us, out of those, like we said, the comfort zones, that warm, fuzzy place. Yeah, we are feeling that push to come into those higher vibrations, those higher frequencies, and not play down here in it anymore. It's a time.
Well, so what happens is that we've got all this power coming from the sun, brighter, more powerful, more penetration than ever before. Now we've got the moon coming in, and it's blocking that. It's blocking that, right?
Oh, yes.
So, yeah. So it's like, whoa, we've got this eclipse happening. And it's kind of like, the earth is here, the earth is coming here, the moon is here, the sun is here. And as it goes through that, there is a huge portal that opens up. And
I was hoping you'd say that.
that particular portal is the portal of the underground. Now, a lot of different ancient belief systems have been quoted as saying this is a time that transformation to the other side is extremely fast. Extremely fast. So there will be a lot of people transitioning when this portal is opening because it just goes like that.
Twinkle of an eye.
Yeah, in a twinkle of an eye. And because, of course, it's Scorpio that his mission in the zodiac is to visualize this, we could be seeing this a lot. So just as a heads up, that this is what I call the perfect scenario. There's a way to make lab created diamonds where they can now create the exact amount of pressure on the carbon to make a diamond in the lab in less time and without the flaws and all of that. So what I'm trying to say is that that's exactly what's going to be happening for transitions. People are going to be using perhaps their exit ticket at this particular time, or perhaps they are needed for one duty or another in another dimension or after their transition. And it could be very fast. It could be very fast. So know that if you are someone who is involved with a family or in your inner circle or something like that, that you are facing, a transition at this particular time, Mary and I both work at, the healing process for mediumship and for explaining exactly how you can feel your loved one or the person that you have watched transition. Now, there's many things that go into that, but sometimes there is a need for a resolution.
Yes, some answers.
Yeah. And also just I think sometimes also that there's a lot of let's say expectation, guilt, I wasn't there, kind of thing, or I could have done better, or we hadn't talked in a year and we were both being a-holes and ego was getting in the way and whatever. And so, there's a lot of help around. Just know that Mary and I both do that kind of work to help you. You can always reach out to me. And because of this eclipse, and because this eclipse may make you feel unstable, insecure, things may come up through dreams, like what Mary was saying, right? Things may come up. And you need some guidance. I'm running a special on kimlalo.com, and it is going to be in effect until the 16th of May. It's just for, it's just for really gaining some clarity and taking a look at your 3-ring circus.
Shedding light on that.
Yeah. and and really enjoying it, not only from a performer's point of view, but also a creator's point of view.
Mhm.
Scorpios are intensely creative people. They
There.
have got to be creative. They, this intense energy has got to be used somewhere.
There you
And
go.
that's what we're so good at, in looking at your timeline, in looking where you can find the escape hatch here and really turn this intense energy into creating what you really want.
That's beautiful.
Okay, to
Yes.
to opening up your heart and to allowing your heart to speak its truth on what you really want to create. So, because sometimes you don't know, right, Mary?
Right. And that's true because we don't. And that's
Mhm.
okay to say that because then you have the option of exploring different things too. And I was going to say this month, I'm also doing Mary's May Miracle messages. So please reach out to me too for, a reading, some kind of, perfect time for house clearings, blessings. I know that you do that too. So that energy is something that you want to move, out of your space or your home, reach out to both of us for that because these um, are the perfect opportunities to be able to do that with the energies that are coming in right now too. I like that. I'm glad you said something about that. Our
Yeah.
maze specials we're running.
Yeah, absolutely. I picked a couple of cards for everybody in the group tonight or whoever wants to watch this, as a replay as well. And the first one is blessings in disguise. You can't make this up, right? I mean, there's going to be some intense activity coming around, but what appears to be the problem actually is part of your answered prayer,
Ooh, how beautiful is that? How perfect is that? Yeah, being able
right?
to look at a different perspective of it. I like that.
The second one, I love this too, and that is there's nothing to worry about. All right, cancers out there.
Yep, cancers, we just talked about it. Yes, my cancers. We
There's
got it this
nothing to
year.
worry about. You are safe, and this situation is under the perfect control of divine providence and universal order. It's got our backs. It's
I
okay. It
I
is definitely okay.
and
And
the
the last one, which I love this one, it's trustworthy guidance.
your own
Yeah.
as well as others, but definitely your own. What we've been talking about, your intuition, your, gut knowing. There you go.
Ask for and be open to receiving any support for positive solutions that you need relating to this situation. Okay. So I want to just say, oh my gosh, Mary, we're at the end of the road.
Ah, okay. Too short. It always goes too fast. It always
I
goes too
know it does. It always goes too fast. But look, my lighting, I'm dissolving.
there goes your sunlight. You must be on the
The
East Coast.
The sun has set here. I've got to go now.
There you go. That's perfect. Perfect. I was just going to show you this real quick. I just pulled this one and it's
Oh, I
Cali
like
and
it.
it says endings and beginnings. The old must be released so that the new can enter. What a perfect ending.
I
Yes,
love it.
time
I
to
love
release.
it. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it. So know that you are still at the helm. You can still create what you want. Okay.
there you
Just
go.
know that these eclipses are there to
Mhm.
really push you along your journey and to help you and to guide you. Mary, how can we reach you?
Oh, through my Facebook, I've got mm, uh, my phone number's there. I've got my website. Please reach out through Messenger. Anytime that you feel that there's a need for some clarity, like you said, good communication, we're here to help you. So phone number, everything's there. Please reach out to us. Perfect time to do it.
There you go. And thanks so much for coming along. Tell your friends. And if you go to YouTube and there's a little menu above, just click on live. Those are all my live podcasts and shows and live shows that we've done. And Mary is the best. Her and I've been spiritual friends for many, many years. And she's the best. I would love that. And so if there is anything else that I can do, my particular website is right here. It's right under my name, right under my face. So you can see me. You know what? I'm totally transforming. I just moved 2 weeks ago. So I'm a little topsy-turvy right now.
But you're going to come out on the other side better and, more spectacular than anything.
I know. I'm opening up a new portal. That's what I'm doing. To be creative. To be creative. I want you all to do the same. Thank you, Mary. And thank you to everyone. And if I can just encourage you to do a little prayer, meditation, anything where you are listening to the message of this particular full moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, it's okay to be intense. It's okay.
It is. It is.
We
make
all
the world
have,
go around.
we all have Scorpio in our chart somewhere. Mary just seems to have a huge conglomerate there.
Yeah. We're still trying to figure that one out, but it works. It works.
I encourage you, if you do have a lot of Scorpio in your chart, to ground yourself, okay? Grounding yourself with nature, grounding yourself with taking your, taking in dietary things that would ground you as well. Potatoes is one of them. But grounding yourself, okay, as best as you know how. So anyway, until next time, may the angels protect you and guide you. Enjoy the eclipse, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.